So I mixed the butter and the raspberry powder together, as you can see, on slow speed in a KitchenAid. I don't want to cream it, I just want to blend it together so that it's nice and homogeneous. Welcome. So today we're going to make some raspberry butter. So I got freeze-dried raspberry powder and I sieved it because the seeds create a problem when you are laminating. They get in the way and tear the pastry. So I actually sieved it out and I mixed it with the butter, and you can see got a lovely pink strawberry raspberry mass here, should I say. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold over some plastic and I'm just going to squish it out with my hand to get a basic shape, okay? I just want to get some of the thickness out of it. So not a lot of effort required. And then I'm just going to gently roll the butter. You can see it moving there. Watch, I'm going to push here and the butter's going to move. So it's moving out to the edge. So don't be too concerned about the shape just yet. Just going to get it out to that seam. And then I'm just going to roll it the opposite way a little bit to get a little bit of width. So I'm happy enough with that so far. Doesn't exactly look like a butter block yet, but the other thing is, when you're using plastic, always use plastic scraper, because if you use a knife or a metal implement, it's going to tear the plastic and the butter will come out and go all over the place. So here's where your jigsaw making skills as a kid will come into play. You literally just cut the little bits of butter out and fill in the holes. You can see them there. I'm just going to trim this guy here. And it's not awfully important, but you can just get a fairly rough shape of what your butter block rectangle should be like. So it's over to one side at the moment, but that's fine. So I'm just going to create an edge here. I'm going to fold this paper and just allow about another centimetre or so. See the crease there? I'm going to fold in this end then just to stop the butter travelling. So I'm controlling the space that the butter is going to move in. So I'm rotating the butter at a 45-degree angle. I'm just pushing the butter out to the corner of the plastic. Now you can also use parchment paper. So again, I'm going to turn it 45 degrees. And just roll, and you can see it's making a nice shape, nice rectangular shape. And I'm just going to flatten this guy out and roll the butter out to the edge. So I'm fairly happy with that so far. You can see it's creating a nice shape. The great thing about plastic is you can keep your hands very clean and the work surface very clean. So I've literally just peeled it off, and I'm just going to recenter it more to the center so that I can get nice even sides. Okay, and move it maybe a little bit more, just about there, to keep it nice and straight. So we have the foundation here of our butter block. So again, I'm just going to fold the paper and I'm going to allow for a little bit of expansion here because I want to roll the butter out a little bit thinner. And then I'm going to flip it over, and again I'm going to make a seam here on the far side. The top I'm going to fold in. Again, just to control the butter at this end. I'm going to do the same on this side. So a fairly nice size rectangle there. So again, I'm going to squeeze the butter. You can just see I'm squeezing it out to the corner. I'm going to do the same here. Squeezing the butter. Rotate 45-degree angle. Just squeezing the butter out there into that corner. And I just need to do the same on this side here. So there we go. So I'm just looking at it, it's a little bit lopsided. It's a bit thicker here and thinner here. So I'm just going to make an adjustment, and that's very easy to do. I'm just going to fold the paper and allow about a ½ centimetre more at this side. The ends I'm pretty pleased with, so I leave them as they are. Just going to flip it over again. I'm going to fold this end down good and tight because I'm happy enough with that. Okay, that corner is good. So I'm just going to use the rolling pin here. And you can see I'm squeezing the butter over into the corner. So I'm quite happy with that. Now you can just use a plastic scraper to square off the edges. And you can see how much control I have by rolling the butter block in plastic. Okay, the raspberry isn't going anywhere, it's staying exactly where I want it to be, in the very center. So that's our raspberry butter block demonstration. I hope you enjoyed it. Welcome back. So here I have my dough, and the specks that you see in it, it's actually a rye sourdough that I put into it, and it makes it nice and extensible. So the thing about a coloured butter is, it'll go all over the table, it'll smear. So I normally would leave the butter protruding out the edges in the end, but with coloured butters I always enclose it completely. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I've rolled the dough out to be a little more than twice the size of the raspberry butter. And again, just to show you how handy this is, with great control. You don't get it all over your hands. You can literally just swing it and position it where you want it to be. Just move that over so you get a better view. So I literally just peel the paper back. See that? And now you can see that the dough is literally just surrounding the butter. So I'm going to stretch this over. I'm just going to make sure that I cover, I'll show you now. Just go down a little bit. I'm going to extend the dough, a little lip of it, down over the butter to encapsulate it. I'm just pressing in with my thumbs. I'm going to do the same here on the end. I'm just going to pull the dough over. I'm just going to cover over the end so that the raspberry butter is totally enclosed. The final place I do it now is on the top. Do the same here. Just going to turn it in there. And then just to marry it up, just a little bit of pressure with the rolling pin. So always turn it over and just make sure that it's completely sealed and closed, because you don't want it opening up. Just going to do the same here now. Just going to close it down. Great. So now I have my tree. Just going to roll that out. Getting back to basics, we're going to flip it over because we don't want it sticking to the table. You can see this dough is nice and relaxed because of the sourdough. A 15% rye sourdough in it will give it a nice flavour, give it a nice texture. Again, I'm just making sure that it's not sticking to the table. As you can see, I keep flipping and turning the pastry. It's very important. The last thing you want is for the pastry or the dough to stick to the table, because it might tear, and if it does, the raspberry butter is going to come out. So I have it almost as thin as I want it to be. So I'm just going to elongate it, get a little bit longer. going left to right. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. So just roll it till you get it as thin as you possibly, well, not as thin as you possibly can, but down to about 5 mils is a good size. And then I'm going to fold in what I call an offset book turn. So I'm going to bring this edge in here. You can see it's about 3/4 of the way in. I'm just getting a pastry brush. I'm just going to brush, make sure that there's no flour sticking to it. And to help it stick, I'm just going to spray a little bit of water. Just helps keep the dough layers together. So I'm going to put that there. And be fussy. You can see down here, see the edge? Line up the edges nice and straight. And then this end here, just fold it over. You can see there's a little bit of elastic recoil here in the corners. That's fine. I'm just going to reposition it in. And then, an important little part of where you join the dough, always give it a little roll just to help it seal. And now we're going to just fold it over like a book. So this is a 4 or a book turn. You can just see that's coming apart a little bit. So I'm just going to give it a small spray of water. It'll help it stick. I'm going to pop that over. So I've done a 3 and I've done a 4. I'm going to rest the raspberry butter now for about a half an hour in the freezer, covered. And I'll give it one final book turn, and then we process the pastry. So I'm just rolling out the raspberry pastry again. You can actually see the nice pink colour coming through. And again, I'm going to give it a 4 turn, an offset 4. So again, I'm just going to spray it a little bit. Get a little bit sticky. Turn this in here. Straighten out the sides. That's very important to get your sides nice and straight. And this is the join, the seam. So I'm just going to move these guys up here and just stretch it to merge it. And you can see I'm not cutting any dough off, I'm not cutting any dough and butter off. I'm keeping everything nice and straight. And then I'm just going to roll that with the rolling pin again. So if you look, it's a little bit uneven there, a little bit of tension. So I'm just going to put a little bit of flour underneath it so that it doesn't stick, if you look. This is all hand laminated. So I'm just going to widen that so that it's nice and square. You can see now it's very even. There's very little dough, as you can see. The dough and the raspberry butter has been integrated very well. Just a small little bit there, but there's no point cutting that off. I'm just going to move that over on top. There we go. Beautiful raspberry butter block and pastry all made. So it's 344. You can see the nice layers. So we'll see how this works out later on. I'll be making some croissants and some raspberry pain au chocolat out of it.